Hello and welcome to a Packer show. uh, you know what? Just
Welcome to unpopular show, hosted by Hafeman Bros. We're talking green and gold, headshot and go Pack go.
okay. It's the Packer Outright Opinion Show. We're here. We're back. Sorry, we were off for a while, but we've got, I don't know, there's a lot going on, and there's more going on, and there's some stuff to talk about tonight to the faithful, the Hafeman Bros faithful, Packer faithful, genuine fans out there in the world. We'll give you a little of that stuff here as well. But I went back and I looked at everything, and I was like, holy crap, this 2023 season was our 5th season talking about Packers on YouTube and sharing it with potentially the world, Ben. Potentially.
Yeah. And there's only more and more and more crappy Packer shows out there, so
yeah,
it's hard to be noticed.
Keep
I'll
watching.
say this: most of the Packer shows, and I just found 2 more today that just showed up. I was like, and then I looked, and they've been doing it for years. I was like, where have these guys been? I haven't noticed before. And they're not bad, but they're more upbeat. We're just crabby all the time. But I'm here to tell you,
I'm still crabby right now.
I have a newfound like energy for the Pack. I have a newfound energy, and it's because of Jeff Hafley, but I always want to say Hafley because we're Hafman. I've been saying Hafman my entire life, so I always want to say Jeff Hafley, but it's Jeff Hafley, which then makes me think of Greg Heffley, who is the Wimpy Kid book guy. I think.
Oh,
remember the kid with the Wimpy Kid that your kids had to read when they were in junior high and crap, or little kids? His name was Greg Heffley. This guy's Jeff Hafley. Oh my God, I can't even say his name.
Yeah, Hafley. He screwed it up
for
for
us. Defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Maybe we should be Hafeman Bros, and then we can say that we're related to him. Or okay, never mind.
It's HAFE, like safe,
right?
Except it's Hafe, man.
Why couldn't you just said that to all those college professors and other people that mispronounce their names all the time?
Because it's more fun to just go punch them in the head.
Punch
him in the head. Have you seen the new inside linebacker coach guy?
Who is it? Nope. I have been completely unplugged
some Italian guy from New Jersey.
Some Italian guy from New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah, they got the clip on Twitter. Everybody, all the Packer fans are so fired up because he showed a quote from Vince Lombardi when he was talking to the Dolphins, because he's a Dolphins linebacker coach last year. And he said the F word 14 times in the span of 5 minutes.
That means you like him.
Well, he reminds me of myself. Except for one small problem that scares me a little bit. He seems fired up and ready to go and wants the guys to attack, and I really like the stuff he was saying, except for the very first thing he said was that he wasn't that smart. He had to go to first grade twice, is what he said. So that scares me a little bit. Maybe he was kind of dumb. I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't be that worried about that part. I thought you were going to say the first thing he said was that he liked Devondre Campbell. Then I was going to be like, no, get him out of here.
No. But he's definitely way more aggressive and crazy compared to Kurt Oglebagadagli or whatever the hell his name was, who's gone, thank the Lord. And I'll say that. I'm excited about the fact that Matt LaFleur is letting Jeff Hafley get his own guys in the building. Jerry Montgomery's out. He's been there too long.
Yep.
Kurt Oglebagadagli is gone. You got somebody at I think the guy they just hired, Greg Williams, the guy they hired last year, he's gone already.
Good. Get him out.
So I don't know who else is gone. They moved the outside linebacker coach to the defensive line coach
Okay.
because are you paying attention to any of this stuff or what?
No.
Dude, what is your problem? Anyways,
I've been totally unplugged from Packers.
well, you should be
unplugged.
plugged in. I'm here to tell you should be plugged in because it's exciting now. Because, are you ready for this?
What?
Everybody's so concerned.
About what?
Because Matt LaFleur officially told Jason Wilde in a text that the Packers are moving to a 4-3 defense.
Why is that bad?
That's not bad.
They play 4-man lines all the time
People
anyway.
are exactly.
And all their outside linebackers aren't really linebackers.
They're not. They haven't been since Zadarius Smith and Preston got signed and Rashawn Gary got drafted. They're all defensive ends in a 4-3 scheme.
You know what I feel the worst for now?
Who?
Aaron Campman. Aaron Campman was doing pretty good, and then they changed to the 3-4 and tried to make him play this outside linebacker, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, except Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary can't do it either.
I
But
know.
they've been doing it, but they've been out there for years. They can't cover anybody.
I know,
This is
but
the end of the Preston Smith cornerback one. This is great news.
Oh,
I'll say
boy.
this. Goody's going to have more than 4 linebackers in the preseason 93-man roster or 92-man roster. I can tell you that.
Yep.
Because now you're going to be playing 3 linebackers, not 2. And people are going to say, well, Rashawn Gary was a linebacker. No, he wasn't. He was a big ding-dong who stood up at the offensive or defensive line and got pushed around. That's what he was. Preston Smith was not a linebacker. He dropped in coverage. Kenny Clark dropped in coverage at one time, too. Hopefully we won't see that ever again. But what I'm saying is this. Finally, the guys are going to be playing where they should have been playing the entire time with their hands in the dirt and doing the thing. Right? That's exciting. Now,
Being given the bear front, the 4-6 bear front.
well, I don't know. But here's the other thing.
You
Who's
never
the
use a
best-
bear front in Madden? Come on.
No. Who's the best linebacker on the Packers team right now?
Zero clue. OJ, oh, damn it. I almost said OJ again. Isaiah McDuffie,
And where did he go to college?
BC.
And who was his head coach his senior year when he finally had a good year and got good enough to get drafted?
Was it this guy?
It was this guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. This guy also coached AJ Dillon?
No, AJ Dillon was gone.
Oh.
Or no, he did. He did coach AJ Dillon.
Is AJ Dillon coming back?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't. It was 2020.
You know, you can lose all this fake stuff you're putting out right now. I know the real reason you're excited and looking forward is because Bruin Gutekunst had to come out and finally acknowledge that there's value of Aaron Jones is too great to not bring him back.
Yeah, well,
And
I wish
that
he would have done that a couple years ago.
the Packers are bucking the trend and valuing a running back. And they're also understanding that, yeah, how they looked without Aaron Jones was like garbage on offense. And then when he came back, they looked really good. So, yeah, we got to have him on the team.
Yeah, but everybody's giving Jordan Love the love, not Aaron Jones.
Well, Aaron Jones is used to that. He's used to being the second, second fiddle, but that's okay.
Yeah.
He'll just do his thing. He needs to play more games this year coming up. That would be good. But I don't know, man. I love when I was thinking about doing a show last week and then we decided not to, there were like 3 specific pieces of, I think it was Goody's press conference that I wanted to revisit, but now I forgot what they were. It's been too long and it's old news anyway. But there's like at a 6-minute mark, he said something really important. At the 18-minute mark, he said something really important. I watched this whole blathering on. And yeah, so it was interesting. And one of those things was Aaron Jones, man. And he just couldn't, look, that's a change. That is bucking the NFL trend. So I like that. I also like the fact that this Packers team has brought in guys. And if you're telling me, if what you're trying to tell me, Ben,
Yeah,
is that for the first time in, I don't know, forever,
Yeah.
we'll finally see the defense not play passive and soft. Well, then I might be excited, but I don't know.
You need to find this guy's video.
Okay.
The inside linebacker coach. He goes crazy. Vince Lombardi talks about how the quote he shares is Vince Lombardi saying, imagine that someone stole all your possessions and all the people you care about. And that's the person who pretty much, this isn't that exactly what he says, but he's like, that's the person right now who has the ball.
Oh, good.
So go get him, kind of
62.
thing. Like, there's no way, a guy supposed to block me is going to stop me from getting that guy who took all my stuff and, kidnapped my family or whatever weird stuff that he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But he said it more aggressive and swore like, a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
And it was fired up. I mean, fired up. The opposite of what this Packer team has been. I mean, the coaches from Joe Barry to Kirk Obladogli, whatever. I'm sure Jerry Montgomery was a little more fired up, probably. Greg Williams was soft spoken. I mean, Jeff Heffley's voice. Heffley, I don't like his voice. It sounds like a hashed out, like he yelled too much, or he's all like wussy and rah. I mean, have you ever heard him talk? It's terrible.
You're really disappointed now that the Bucks have Doc Rivers, and then
that's terrible too. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the Packers.
Okay.
But I will say is, I liked what he talked about. Did you hear what he talked about? What his keys to playing defense in the secondary is. He was a secondary coach for a long time. He wants to play press man, or at least press zone, because it does three things. And he said these things. Number one, it telegraphs what the receiver's routes are possibly going to be. Because if you're up on top of them, right, and if they go to the right, or if they go to the outside, or if they go to the inside, there's only 3 or 4 routes they can run if they run an outside route. There's only 3 or 4 routes they can run if they run an inside route, right? Mm-hmm. If you stand back 10 yards, well, they can do whatever the hell they want, and you look like a chump.
Yeah.
Right? So this lets the corners know, or the defensive backs know, okay, there's only 2 or 3 routes this guy's going to run based on his release. And then you'll know what to look for, at least somewhat. That's what he said. The other thing is, you'll slow down the timing and disrupt the timing of the offense if you get a hand on the guy and mess him up. And I had a couple clips. I'm not going to bring them up because I don't care anymore. But of McDuffie, there's one play where he shoved the crap out of Kittle, and Kittle got knocked over a little bit, and Brock Purdy went back and threw it where he was supposed to be at the time in rhythm, where the hole was in the defense, and Kittle wasn't quite there. And it was because McDuffie knocked him off his route. Because, Purdy just went back, looked through his reads, saw those first 2 reads weren't there, and then he just threw it on the third read, thinking that Kittle was supposed to be there, and he wasn't. Because he's the opposite of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has to see you open before he throws it to you. Brock Purdy actually just reads the defense and throws to where the open spot is, which is what you should do most of the time. However, if you disrupt them from the line of scrimmage, which is we've been talking about for years, which the Packers never did before, it makes a huge difference. And then the last thing is, it also allows your pass rush a little more time to get there, because it forces the quarterback, if he does have time, to make a perfect pass. If you're playing off 8 yards or 10 yards, you're just giving him an easy throw, right? And he's saying, I want guys in their face. I want to force the quarterback to make a perfect pass. He's like, there aren't enough good quarterbacks that are going to make that perfect pass as long as we have decent coverage. Even if we get beat, if we disrupt the route, the timing will be off, the pass will probably be off, and the chances of it being completed are way less than if we're playing off and allowing guys to catch it, then try to make the tackle, which these guys aren't good at.
He sounds like a guy who knows. Yeah, he sounds like a guy who knows football. And
I'm excited. Yes, and you should be excited about this.
So let me, before we get to my point, Wyatt says Preston was locked down. He'll miss him shutting down elite wideouts.
No, he was not.
So
I mean, if Jair is elite, then yes, Preston Smith was also an elite corner. Yes, I will agree.
So are we getting some new corners then? Is that what you're saying? Because somebody that would have been good for what you're talking about. Maybe a guy who's like 6'2", 210 pounds almost,
Mm-hmm.
and really smart and had good ball skills. That
Mm-hmm.
might have been a guy that was pretty good for that type of defense. Where are we getting these corners to play that style of defense? Because that was successful with guys like Richard Sherman, who was Richard Sherman, not fast, but he was bigger, had longer arms,
Mm-hmm.
right? Could be physical with guys, got away with lots of stuff, but that's okay. They're not. If you're up in that first 5 yards and you're doing a lot of stuff, they're not going to care.
They shouldn't. It's in the rules. You can do whatever
and
you
that-
want.
And why more? Isn't literally the reason that more people don't do that is because they're afraid. They're
Yeah.
afraid of getting beat over the top.
Right.
Well, how often is that actually going to happen? Just like you're saying. So I like what you said that his approach is like, if we get up and get physical, throw off the timing, give our pass rush a chance, how many times are we actually going to get burnt over the top by a perfect throw? Not many.
Not many, unless you're playing like, Mahomes or
Right. The best of the best quarterbacks, and then you play different. But like the
Right.
majority of the quarterbacks in the NFL, if you play that way, you're putting them in a rough spot, and you are the aggressor, and you're dictating to them what they can do, because they have to change what they're doing because of what you're doing. Not you sit there on defense and react to what they're doing and let them dictate to you what you're going to do, which is just dumb. And the Packers have played that way forever. So if you're telling me they're actually going to play aggressively
yes,
under this guide, then I'm a little excited.
that's the rule. That's what I've been told by everybody under the sun, from Wildy to Tausch to Matt LaFleur.
Well, now Dad's here. He says that puts more pressure on the middle linebacker.
Well, it does. It does. But what it does though is, here's the thing. It's different. The one thing I like about it is this, and Brian Balaga said this today on Wildy and Tausch, and I was like, oh, Brian Balaga, that was a good point, buddy. Usually I don't agree with anything he said. I'll get another Brian Balaga point in a little bit, but he said if they're playing a base 4-3, it's going to be like 20% of the time, if even that. Most of the time, like 40% of the time, it's going to be nickel, right? But when they play nickel, the defensive line is going to be the same. So the guys' responsibilities are going to be basically the same type of thing as they would, whether it's in base or whether it's in nickel. It's not going to be that different. Where now, when they have the big guys in there, and Preston and or Gary have to drop back or look out for certain things or hold the edge or whatever it is. When there's only 4 defensive linemen, they don't have to hold the edge as much because there's an outside linebacker over there, right? Or a weak side linebacker or a strong side linebacker or whatever, because it's going to be, 3 linebackers now. So their job instead is to penetrate and attack or blow up the offensive line so that the linebackers can get free and get in there. And there'll be more guys. And in this case, like if the defensive line does make a mistake for some reason, there'll be more guys in the middle there to stop a run from going. Like, how many times watch the Packers? When the Packers run the ball, they get stuffed for a 2-yard gain if something gets blown up right away, right? Or even negative yards sometimes if it doesn't get blocked perfectly. Where if you see the Packers players, unless a guy can penetrate and get in the backfield, we're giving up 4 or 5 yards every time because the guys get double teamed and there's no linebacker or safety that comes down fast enough to make the play because they're out of position, because they can't read the hole or they get blocked on the backside or whatever the case is. And it just puts less pressure on the defensive line. There will be more pressure on the linebackers, but they'll also be more free to do whatever they need to do, right? I got to see what I got here. I got a message here.
What you got going on here? Something important? You got breaking news from, are you getting a text from Matt LaFleur?
No.
Oh, okay. Are you getting your text from Jason Wilde or?
No.
Okay. I knew you guys were friends from back in the day when you first met him at Packers camp in the preseason.
No.
You did meet him though. Wilde was a newer guy on the scene back then when we were there.
I just remember when I was at the game.
The hell was that?
And I was in the press box. I was cheering, and they all looked at me like I was a jerk. Tom Silverstein gave me a dirty look.
But he gives everyone I think that's his only look, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's all right. Then I'm okay.
I think that's his only look. Was Johnny Gray in the booth with you?
No.
Did you get to be in the same booth with Johnny Gray?
No. Jason Wilde was there, though.
I know, as a young Wilde.
And Rob Domofsky was there.
Was Domovsky back then too? Damn,
think
I didn't
so.
know that.
All those guys were there.
I'm guessing Bill Huber was somewhere to
Pete
be found.
Doherty was there.
Pete Doherty, yeah, that guy. He was definitely around. Definitely around.
But wasn't there? Our guy.
That one knobhead.
What's
His name? Who's the clown that was on that Tyler Dunn show? Bob McGinn. He wasn't there.
Yeah, he was probably there too. I don't know.
That guy was terrible.
Well, let's not talk about that. Here, you take over for a second. I gotta mute myself,
Yeah, that's good.
and then I'll be back. I don't
All
remember
right.
what I was talking about. Go for
That's
it.
fine.
Inside linebackers, go. Boom.
I'm not talking inside linebackers. I got to talk about a couple other things here. You do what you got to do. He's probably making a business deal over there. I am excited about Aaron Jones coming back. I'm excited about Goody confirming that. I don't think they needed to, for sure, give Jordan Love a long-term deal. But that's fine. If they want to work on it, that's fine. I like the fact that we have all these young receivers. You can be excited about that. And maybe that Sean Ryan is coming along, so maybe he'll help the offensive line. I still have concerns about many guys in the offensive line.
Yeah, I agree.
Packers got to invest. So this draft, look, the Packers have had really good draft classes the last couple of drafts for the most part. I mean, overall, when you look at how many players are contributing and actually doing pretty well. Again, that's another trend bucking by the Packers, not of the NFL, but the Packers themselves. Remember, for years, so many years, they would never play any of the young guys, and they were forced to now because they got rid of all the old guys, and so that was a good thing.
But that was an Aaron Rodgers problem, I think, more than
partly
coaching problem.
Partly, but it's still part of the GM problem in the form of being so enamored with best athlete or athletic freak guy with the numbers versus getting football players to fill in the spots in your team.
Yes, but you want to hear a good quote from Jeff Hafley?
What did he say?
He said, I can't remember what, I heard a quote. I don't remember if it was when I think it was with the 49ers, D-backs coach, or maybe it was somewhere. I don't know whatever it was, but maybe it was in college. But he said, the best guy is going to play. I don't care what he's doing, how much he makes, what 5-star recruit, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. I'm playing the guy who's the best player, which means that's good news for us. Jair better look out. So, I mean, he's saying all these, and these are interviews from years ago.
Mm-hmm. Richard
Sherman backed him up. He had him only for 1 year as a coach, and he was like, "Yeah, this guy's super smart. He knows what's up. He helped me. He's like, he gave me all the answers. Like, I knew what plays are happening before they even happened because he told me what to look for, you know." And the other thing was Jeff Hafley in another interview talked about Richard Sherman, telling him, he's like, I learned more about zone defense from Richard Sherman than I did in the 7 years coaching in the NFL before I coached Richard Sherman. He's like, I learned things from the players too, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So that's this. I'm excited because he seems like a guy who's willing to, number one, learn, and number two, like, listen to the players, go with the guy who's the best guy on the field, be aggressive and attack. Don't play off and do wussy crap like they've been doing for freaking 20 years or whatever it's been.
Believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it, bro. Because I've been waiting for years. But before we go somewhere else, just hold on. My question to you is, who are these corners that are going to play that style?
Okay, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about that too.
All right. Tell me.
He talked about when he went to, so he went to Ohio State. He talked about the different types of defense he called. Okay, so he was a defensive coordinator for Ohio State. He called the defense. Okay, he was a co-defensive coordinator with an older guy who'd been more experienced, but he was the one who called the plays. He was there for one season. The season before he got there, they were ranked 74th or something, and the season he was there, they were ranked number 2 in the whole college landscape. You're talking over 100 freaking some 170, 109, 200 freaking teams, right?
It's a great number.
Whatever it is. So he jumped up. Okay. When he went after that, he got the head coaching job at Boston College. Boston College is ranked lower, and he moved them up 52 spots from where they were the year before. in his first season with the team when he had McDuffie and he had a couple other guys. Okay. So, and then when he talked about it, he said, when I was with Ohio State, he's like, I had a bunch of athletes. So I called way more press man. We were way more aggressive. I had guys who I could trust to do the things that I knew they could do because of their physical skills. When I went to BC the first year, I had to tweak that a little bit. Some of my guys didn't quite have that, but he still raised their defense up 52 spots from the year before. Or maybe it was the other, maybe it was 70 something when he went to Boston College and 52 spots up when he went to Ohio State the year before. I can't remember. It was something like that where they both teams had a giant jump from the year before because he looked at the talent on the team. He found what was their best, strengths and their weaknesses. He put guys in the best place to make a difference. And I think he's doing the same thing when he looked at the Packers roster. I think he showed up. He told Matt LaFleur, you have guys who can't cover anybody playing linebacker. You have guys who drop back into coverage and just stand there and let the guy catch it and run routes without even covering them. They don't know how to do it. He's like, Preston Smith is a 275-pound guy trying to cover Devontae Adams in the slot. It's dumb. Like, your talent for those players is on the D-line. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think he told LaFleur that. He's like, you guys should not, I don't know what you're doing here. Your talent doesn't match the 3-4. Your talent doesn't match. You don't make a guy do something that is going to be detrimental to your team winning the game. And that's what you've been doing. I don't know if this is what he told Matt LaFleur to get the job, but that's what I would tell him to get the job. And I would show him on tape. I'd be like, look at this. What is this? Why is this guy doing that? Why are you having this guy cover guys when he should be going? Why is Kenny Clark dropping back and standing there for reasons we don't know? And that's good stuff. Now, the biggest thing, Jace, is going to be, what do the Packers do? Because all we heard before coming into the season was how much talent they have on defense, all these first-round picks and blah, 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 and all this crap. Well, hopefully Savage is gone. Hopefully Campbell's gone. They cut him and he's gone, right? Is Keyshawn Nixon coming back? I don't know. Should he be coming back? I don't know. We traded Rasul. That's dumb. Here's the thing. By switching to a 4-3, as Dad says, more pressure on the linebackers. It's not just the middle linebacker. We're going to need a weak side linebacker, a strong side linebacker, and the middle linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need guys who can cover, who can move in space, who can
Cover
get
ground.
off blocks, who can hold up against offensive linemen and still shed and make a play. We don't have anybody who can do that other than McDuffie a little bit. Eric Wilson is going to have to be signed back. He might be our starting weak side linebacker in the base defense if we don't draft somebody or something like that. I mean, you might have McDuffie at middle, Quay at strong, and Eric Wilson at weak. Because he's more of a cover guy, right? He's not going to the tight end. The tight end's going to be on the strong side, so you're going to have Quay covering him, right, or whatever. I don't know.
You gotta. I mean, those guys have to cover, but they also have to come up and fill and play the run hard. And that's important. So,
and McDuffie's really good at that.
Yeah.
Actually, McDuffie's pretty good at weak side. He'd be a good strong side linebacker too.
Yeah,
because he covers the tight end. He gets over there and gets in the covers the back and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Here's another. Andy Herman did a show. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, where he talked about free agents and who's out there, and he mentioned some interesting names. One of them was Patrick Queen. What if Goody did the smart thing? Because it does take linebackers a couple years to figure it out, right? Instead of drafting Patrick Queen, we let him play for 4 years, and now he knows how to play linebacker, and now we sign him. And you and me and Eckes, we were watching the draft when they drafted Love. We were talking all about Patrick Queen, and now we end up getting him now. And you have Patrick Queen and Quay Walker and McDuffie out there. That would be a pretty solid linebacker crew, if you ask me.
Yeah.
The other thing, here's another name who is a guy who, when he was a rookie, broke out on the scene and was making plays left and right. Who's a big guy, who's quick, super fast, athletics traits, and a RAS score of 10. Goody's type of guy. But he's had a couple bad years in the last couple years. Jeremy Chin is a free agent.
Okay.
Safety from the Carolina Panthers. Remember his rookie year when he was blowing
Yeah.
up stuff, getting picks and doing all crazy stuff? I
Yeah.
guess the last couple of years he hasn't been doing so hot. Last year he was a healthy scratch, not in games, but from the starting lineup. He didn't even play. He only played 8 games last year, and he wasn't injured. And now he's a free agent. So we could get him on a 1-year cheapy prove-it deal. And he's a guy who we've seen him look great at one point.
Yeah.
And with good coaching, maybe we can get that back. He's a very interesting guy. I think the Packers should go after Jeremy Chin, who's open and a free agent.
Okay.
So think about what if you get, we cut Bakhtiari, we save $17 million.
Woo!
We use that $17 million to get Patrick Queen, Jeremy Chin at linebacker. I mean, not linebacker, but safety. And then we draft the safety. That's, I mean, I think that's a pretty solid lineup in the middle of the field right there. So, and these are guys that are free agents. Now, Queen's probably going to get some pretty decent money because he had a pretty good year last year.
Yeah.
And the Ravens may sign him back. He may not hit free agency. But I know this much. Chin will hit free agency. And he will not be expensive.
He was a first-round pick, though, right? So are they just
he was a second-round pick.
Patrick Queen?
Oh, Patrick Queen was a first-round pick, yeah.
Right, yeah. He was a first-round pick, so...
They didn't pick up his fifth-year option.
Up his option? Okay.
No, because he wasn't good.
Right, he wasn't playing
It wasn't
well,
until they got Roquan Smith in, and then he became like the buddy guy where he started making plays.
Right.
So if he can be paired with somebody,
Sure.
and Quay Walker, okay, maybe those two guys together will be good. And we know Queen's aggressive, and he'll hit some guys. So I'm just these are things that are out there that are making me as a Packer fan excited, possibly to get these dudes. And we'll have money as long as we cut Bakhtiari. Have you heard the Bakhtiari stuff? Probably not. You haven't been paying attention.
I listened to the one thing Goody said about how he's got a long way to go, and I'm like, what? How does he have a long way to go? We've been waiting for...
Well, did you hear this? He didn't have surgery. Remember how he didn't play since September, the first week of September, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have the knee surgery until November.
Oh, okay.
So he waited 2 months just goofing off before he had surgery on his knee.
Well,
now, maybe
he collected money that time.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe there was swelling there. I don't know.
Okay.
Here's the thing that excites me about the Bakhtiari situation. Prior to, I watched Andy Herman episode. Andy Herman, another shout out to him. He's doing great stuff. He said, now, remember, I was worried about the Bakhtiari injury, right? If he can't pass a physical, I was worried that we'd owe him the whole $40 million because he's like $19 million on the guaranteed money, and then 21 million base salary or whatever the crap it is that that you don't, it's not guaranteed, but it's, if he makes the team or whatever, it's 21 million. Well, it turns out that even if he fails the physical, the Packers would only be on the hook for $2.6 million or something like that, because there's some kind of an injury insurance or something. I can't remember. I think it's designed to help young guys get their money if they get hurt and get cut and they can't make a physical. But in this way, it's going to actually help the Packers because there was a limit of $2.6 million on that cap. So even though he's got a base salary of $21 million, it's only $2.6 that they would owe him. So that would save $17 million basically by letting him go. Now he could file a grievance, I guess, and then he would be allotted 40% of whatever he was owed would have to be hit on the cap until the grievance was resolved, which would be
how would you feel, and how would Packer fans, if you ever watch our show, any of you, I guess it's your dad's here, Wyatt, a couple others, if David Bakhtiari, after collecting all of this money, millions and millions and millions of dollars over the last 3 years for hardly playing at all, filed a grievance against the team, how would you feel about that?
See, but he's already the victim.
I would never welcome him back into the Packer graces. He would never be a part of it. I'd be like, get the hell out of here.
I almost don't want to now. I don't know if you
stole
remember
money from us for years. And we sat by you.
The Packers asked him to restructure his contract to help lower some dough because we were getting hit with that $40 million from Aaron Rodgers trade. And he told them no. And that's why he was on the books for however much he was on last year.
I mean,
so, I would just cut him and just be like done with it.
Yeah.
And if he files a grievance, whatever, I don't care anymore. And Andy Herman said something where it's like, oh, well, we could sign him to restructure his deal and give him like $1 million per game played, because if we do that, since he hasn't played at all, it's not going to be hit on the salary cap because he hasn't played, because it's only what was most likely to happen based on the last season's work. So if he only played one game, we'd only be on the hook for 1 year or $1 million bucks, in addition to the $2.6 million that he would get from the injury settlement. So we give him that, plus we give him a stipulation where he get $1 million for every game he played, which would allow him to maybe get back that $17 million. And I'm like, why would we do all this stuff for him? He's already made $100 million for doing nothing. Just let him go.
Yeah,
we got Quay Walker.
It's beyond time. Rasheed
Walker.
Yeah, Quay Walker too, though.
Luke Tenuta, Caleb Jones, Zach Tom. They're probably going to draft a guy. They got 11 picks again. It's done.
Yeah.
Like, stop it. Goodbye. Aaron Jones said this is the best team he's ever been on. That's what he said. It's like the most together team he's ever been on. That's what he said. After years of playing with Aaron Rodgers. And you know who wasn't part of this team since week 1? Dave Bakhtiari. It's time to say goodbye.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was time a year ago or more, but like whatever, they were kind of stuck with him, and I get it. And don't get me wrong, he played a lot of good football for the Packers and all this sort of stuff. And obviously the injury was not something that anyone could have predicted. But you know, there comes a point where you as a human being got to look at that situation and be like, yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I signed this contract and injuries happen, but at some point when I can't be available for you, like, you got to be a person, a human, a man, whatever, and just be like, look, fair is fair here. You guys pay me a lot of money. I haven't been able to get healthy. Let's part ways. Let's come to a settlement and agreement here and let you guys move on, you know, with your football team. And especially when he really wasn't into the team after Rodgers left, it was like, that was really disappointing to me.
Yeah,
but you know,
they're going to suck comment.
Yeah.
Meant he didn't think he was, first of all, he said they, so he didn't think he was part of the team. And he also didn't believe in his teammates, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the difference is when Aaron Jones in the offseason was like, oh, we're going to be good. Keyshawn Nixon, we're going to be good. Those guys were positive. They were like, shut up. This is not a rebuild. We're here to make some plays. We're here to win games.
Wyatt says he's fine with Bakhtiari right now. Packers have been very understanding working with him, but if he were to file a grievance, he would he'd probably feel pretty upset, like us. Feel more like we do about him.
It's listen.
You've said it a bunch of times. Quote:
the thing that
stealing
bothers
money.
me. He's stealing money.
Stealing money, and he was. He literally.
And I can't get behind a guy
no.
like when Aaron Jones is taking pay cuts. And he's still making a lot of money. Like, he even says, like, this is more money than I ever made in my life. That's why he's like, I'll take a pay cut of $13 million or $12 million, whatever he made last year. That's more money I've ever made 1 year. And it's like, except for Aaron Jones, here's the problem. You only got paid $1.2 million last year. You got the rest of it was your signing bonus from a couple years back. But, you know, that's cool. But when he's taking less money and restructured his contract to take less, $5 million less, he's giving $5 million back to the team. And Bakhtiari doesn't even play. He won't even freaking restructure his contract to help the team. That's all you need to know. The guy's a dick. It's embarrassing, to be quite honest. Like, if I was him, I'd be embarrassed. I'd be embarrassed to collect my check.
Right.
I'm going to tell a story real quick.
Okay.
There was a time I was a car salesman for 2 months.
Oh boy.
Or 3 months. I don't even know. I was a really good guitar salesman at Schmidt Music. I worked at a music store, sold guitars. I was really good. I could play guitar. That's probably why. I knew nothing about cars. But I thought, oh, I can sell guitars. I can sell cars. Wrong.
They do rhyme.
I know. That's what I was thinking. And I was terrible at it. And it got to the point where I felt like I was obviously not earning my paycheck that I was making. And there was starting to be tension between the owner of the car dealership and my managers over me because they hired me. And they're like, why'd you hire this? I could hear them yelling at him because I wasn't doing anything. I was trying. but it wasn't working because I would get stuck with people with bad credit or whatever, stuff that this was happen. And then finally, after one of the worst nights I'd ever had, where I had just lost it and like made desperate calls to people I hadn't called and talked to in years, and like I was at the lowest of all lows, I was like, I felt like I was stealing money, and I just didn't go back because I couldn't. Like, there comes a point where the shame and the embarrassment takes over. So when is the shame, the embarrassment going to take over for this guy? You can blame it on the injury. You can blame it on the knee. Like I said, why didn't we in March have him come out and work out like it was like a full game? To see how he would handle working on it, and then find out he has to do another. And then we find out like it couldn't handle it, do another surgery in March. And then by the time the season started, he would have been okay to go. But instead, he didn't show up all season, all off season, not at all. Showed up at training camp, didn't practice at all, didn't play at all. Played one game, and then all of a sudden, I'm hurt, can't play, sorry. And then it took him 2 months before he finally got the surgery, which means, is he going to be even ready? He's not going to be ready by the time we need to know when the new league starts, whether the Packers are going to have him, whether he can play next year, blah, 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 all that stuff, because he just had the surgery. How do we know? He's not going to pass a physical. When they cut him, there's no way. That's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing in the way that they handled it, the Packers, in the way that Bakhtiari handled it. Bakhtiari could have come in, could have worked on it. If it was a smart, obviously Chris Gizzy's gone. I don't know if he is the guy in charge of that or who's in charge of the rehab. But I would have had his ass in February or March, had him work like it was a regular game, find out what he can handle. And then after a week, wait a couple days, like, okay, the inflammation's back. Now we know what the issue is, because Bakhtiari said in September, we weren't ready. Now we know what the issue is. We know how to fix it, blah, blah, blah. Well, why did you do that in March?
We have a plan. We're on the same. They understand me.
Now
they understand.
3.5 years later, they finally figured, okay. Whatever.
They understand how they need to do this with me. Like, it was all about,
no.
They adapted to him and what he wanted. That was like the whole thing. And that was why it was weird, because if you had a dude who was bought in, you're right. They would have said, I want to come in and test this out and make sure I'm ready for the season and for you. And you didn't have any of that because you didn't have the buy-in. You didn't have the commitment. Now, Ekis does point out, following your story, that you were a great soft tub salesman, Ben.
I was not a good soft tub salesman. Ekis was a good soft tub salesman. Ekis would just take his clothes off and jump right in the soft tub and then just tell people, hey, check out the soft tub. And I'm like, dude, you're sitting there in your boxers. That's weird.
Rick showed
up.
Hey,
I
Rick,
could tell a boob sticker or a boob sucker.
A boob? What?
Or a wiener sucker. So a lot of those.
Oh, because you guys had a lot of
we had the nudies in the back, and then we'd have to chase little kids out of there.
Inappropriate items. Adult section, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Hey, so going back to Ekis had another comment earlier. He had said this about Aaron Jones. Do you think Jones would consider coaching in a couple of years to stay with the Green Bay organization? Look, I don't know what's going on with Aaron Jones, but do you see, like, he looks more ripped and more in shape than he ever has. Like, he's got some pretty big guns now. Like, he used to be kind of a skinnier guy. He looks freaking ripped, and he's still running with power. Like, it's weird because he runs with more force and power and finishes runs better than a guy who weighs almost 50 pounds more than him. It's weird.
I know. It's not weird. It's will.
It's awesome.
It's will and aggression is what it is. Like, AJ Dillon's just not a tough guy.
He's a good guy.
I don't know.
Aaron
He's
Jones
a great guy. He's a nice guy, but
effective. Aaron Jones is if you looked up effective in the dictionary, you'd see Aaron Jones, because that's what he is. It's not conventional. It doesn't look like everybody else. It's not as flashy as some other guys, but damn, is it effective. He's got great vision, great finish, runs with power, even though he's small, and is elusive and breaks tackles. He breaks tackles better than most guys, and a bunch of them are way bigger than him. It's crazy. It's just mind-boggling, and that's why he's the number one Jones in Packer history by far, 100%.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're trying to convince me to be excited for the Packer season. I get it. I'm getting sort of excited, and if they play aggressively defensively for the first time in, I don't know, 30 years, I will be excited to watch that football. I will be excited. I will be excited to see the young receivers come along. But right now, I want to shift because there's current football going on with teams that played more recently than the Packers did, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it.
Oh,
And all I sat in going back to the NFC Championship game, I was very disappointed. I was very disappointed that the Lions blew it. But the whole time I kept thinking, if Mike Holmgren was your head coach, you'd have won this game.
Oh yeah,
You know
Mike
what?
Holmgren would never freaking go for it on fourth down. He kicked field goals left and right.
What? Like why? Why?
If Mike
And
Holmgren
then,
was coach of the Packers, they would have beat the 49ers the week before.
and then Dan Campbell, like after the game, says how yeah, it's tough and I understand, but I don't regret those decisions. How do you not regret those decisions? How do you not regret the decision after Kyle Shanahan talked all day and all night and forever about the, double dipping, getting the score before the end of the half, possession before the end of the half, possession at the beginning of the first half, so you could do that, double them up. And all they got out of that was 3 points, and you had a chance to match the 3 points, go up 3 scores again, and really just put them down right there. Like really take the wind out of their balloon. And you ran a play thrown to a receiver who is known to drop the ball. I know Jared Goff vouched for him and likes him and all this, but the guy drops a ton of balls and you throw it to him. He dropped another ball later in the second half.
I know.
And I know fluky things happened after that to make it work and all that stuff, but still, like that was the moment. That was the worst decision. That blew out, anything that happened late in the game. I'm like, kick the field goal. It's 3 scores again. It's about the number of scores and the number of times the other team needs to possess the ball. It's not about we're aggressive, we need to go. He did it in the first half, and apparently the reason he didn't go for it at the end of the first half and decided to kick the field goal was because of the yardage. And I'm like, no, you kick the field goal there so you get some goddamn points. And just like you should have kicked the field goal at the other point so you get some points, because getting points helps you win. And it also helps take the team and say, look, you were down at 17 and a half. Now we've played 10 minutes of the third quarter. You're right back at 17 again. Right? That's where they lost the game. All that other stuff.
It's situational football. It's understanding where you are. And as much as you were aggressive all year and it helped you win some games, it also helped them lose some games.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's different if it was like a tied score. You've been aggressive all year. Yeah, stay aggressive. Like Matt LaFleur, when he went for it on fourth down in the 49ers game, and we didn't get the inch or whatever it was. Jordan Love didn't get it. That sucked, but it was early in the first quarter, second quarter, and he was expecting to have to score some points. But in the second half, when you're up by 17 points or 14 points, just go up by 3 scores. Understand where you're at. Like, you're in the freaking game to get you to the Super Bowl, dude. And that's where some guys are dumb. Like Brandon Staley would go for it all the time, right?
Oh my
because
God.
he got canned. Why? Because he went for it constantly. Because, 56% of the time you go for it on fourth down, you win. Okay, 56% of the time. Well, 44% of the time you don't. And then you lose. Yeah, you just catch off the guy's helmet. It was awesome.
I know. It's crazy. But again, like...
But it comes down to, like, when you are knowing what you are and where you're at.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what I went into. I was like, Mike Holmgren would have won this game because he would have been like, I'm kicking the field goal. I'm kicking the field goal. I'm kicking the field goal.
I mean, I understand their kicker was kind of like our kicker. So he missed some kicks this year. He's a rookie.
But still, like, here's the point, right? And this is kind of where all the percentages and all the stuff come about. And I understand, okay, now everybody's like all into the analytics and everybody looks at the analytics and only the dinosaurs are the ones that poo-poo the analytics and they're being phased out, right? Bill Belichick phased out, Vrabel phased out, some of these other guys.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But the analytics will say, well, let's go for it, because if you get it, the risk, the percentage of you getting it is like 50 something percent. And if you get it, then you control the game, you take more clock off, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. But those analytics are league wide, taking thousands and thousands and thousands of snaps, thousands of teams into the equation. Those analytics are not specific to the opponent you're currently playing in the game you're currently in. And that's why, as a human being, you got to read the situation, read what's going on in the game, and make a quality decision. Not look at what the hell do the analytics say, let me follow the analytics. No. And that's why football coaches and good football coaches and good players, they have to be able to adapt to the game you're in. And like you said, yeah, if this is like week 3 against some opponent and you try it and it doesn't work out, whatever. This is the NFC Championship game, man. And the Lions talked about how much this meant to them, to their city, to their fans who have been crapped on for years and years and decades and whatever, and stuck with this garbage team and organization. Like, I'm not even interested to really watch the Super Bowl now. Like, 49ers against Chiefs, whatever. I don't care. I mean, like Lions against Chiefs, at least I have an interest then, because I want to see what the Lions would do. I don't know. It's really disappointing.
I have a minor interest in Brock Purdy because it's a cool story.
I get it, but at the same time, it's just like
the rest of the guys, I don't care about if Brock Purdy wins, guess what? Those other idiots win too. So it's like,
And that's the other thing about the analytics, right? It doesn't factor in this defense, right? It's not dialing you into, if I run this play against this defense with these specific players on the field, these are my percentages. Those percentages are way lower going against the 49ers defense with their guys in their defensive scheme than your normal blah, blah, blah analytics that incorporate all the NFL and all that stuff. Like, that's why analytics are just BS. David points it out. Analytics mean as much as RAS score, the RAS, relative athletic score. That's about as much as analytics mean. They can't tell you what's inside the person. They can't tell you how that person's going to react in that situation with the pressure. You have to read the game as a human being and make the right decision. Dan Campbell screwed up. And the fact that he said after the game that he didn't regret any of that stuff, I don't know. It's disappointing, especially with the end result. Like, you can't, I don't know. It's bothering to me because, like, I don't know. I see the Packers make the same mistakes. I want to believe it's going to change. I want to believe it's going to change, bro. I really do. But I said after the Packers lost, even before they lost, I was like, that's fine. This is the Lions' year. This is your year. And I'm going to tell you, Detroit Lions and Detroit Lions fans, I'm going to put myself big here. Here's my message to you. This was your chance. This was your chance that I would say the majority of the Packer fans were going to be like, okay, Lions, you can win it this year. But now this year's done, and that's done. Now it's Packers. Packers time all the way. So if we beat you the next bunch of years and you guys are back down in the division again and we win the division over and over again, sorry, you had your chance. We gave it to you. We gave you your chance, and you guys blew it. So sorry, you're done.
Based on the information I have on Jeff Hafley, based on Love, the young receiver guys and tight ends, Aaron Jones coming back, the Packers are ready to take over the NFC. Because the Cowboys are a mess. The Eagles are a mess. And the 49ers have a couple good players, but if they're so top heavy, what if a couple guys get hurt? They're done. I mean, they just squeaked. They got lucky against the Pack. They got lucky against the Lions.
Yeah.
I mean, next year, they're not going to be like that. Let's hope Jordan Love isn't as stupid to throw a dumb freaking pass like he did in that game. And hopefully the defense will be better because we might give up some big plays, but we'll stop them. There'll be a lot more 3-and-outs. There won't be any 7-minute drives for 65 yards that they hold them to a field goal. Well, that's great. Well, you freaking wasted 6-7 minutes off the clock. And the offense sat on the freaking sideline, and then guess what? They go out there and go 3-and-out, and then your defense right back out there again. You're tired and crappy, and you play like garbage again. You give up another big long drive. I want to see aggression, smack you up beside the head a little bit, get some 3-and-outs, some pass breakups. That Chiefs game, when Chris Jones just up there, it's smacking balls down and doing all this crazy stuff. Like Chris Jones there's a point in that game where he took over the game. Just like getting his hands on guys, knocked a couple passes down, and it made a huge difference. I think there's a fumble by Lamar where Karlaftis got it, or somebody fumbled and Karlaftis ended up getting this fumble recovery. Mm-hmm. It's just, if we can get aggressive, get hands up, I just feel this team can be good. The young guys are there. Mm-hmm. I mean, like you said, we have to see it to believe it. I've just heard a lot of good things, though.
Well, JJ's here, and he says hopefully Hafley's defense is badass. And that's the case. We want to see aggressive defense. I don't care if they give up some big plays here and there. I want to see aggressive defense. Make the other team make plays to beat you as opposed to just giving it to them. It's just, I can't imagine that is any fun for the players, first off, to play that soft, passive style, number one. And it's certainly not fun for us fans to watch. So play aggressive. If you get beat from time to time, fine. Make them beat you, right? And then on offense, attack them too. Like you were doing the second half of the year. Attack them. And the young receivers are in place. The other thing, Ben, is going to be key is this team has to draft to fill some gaps. They have to fill some holes with the draft. They cannot sit there and do this best player available. And by their terms, best player available is most athletic freak available. No. Draft to get starters. Draft starters. Draft players to fill important roles on your team, and then you can do something. Because you have a young core. You need a few spots to strengthen, especially if you have an injury. We talked about it. That Zach Tom injury killed us. It killed us against the Niners. You got to have a solid backup swing tackle, right? They didn't have it. Now, I know they went into the season thinking Bakhtiari would start and they could have one of these other guys be their swing tackle. Great. That didn't happen. You got to have a backup swing tackle. You got to be strong in some areas where you need it. You got to plan for injuries. And then this team can make noise, because conversely, in the NBA, the Bucks have the oldest team in the NBA. The Packers have the youngest team in the NFL pretty much. So fill in some more with a draft, follow the Lions playbook, right? Draft the guys you want who are going to fill starting spots and be impactful for you, and see what you can do this year and next year.
Well, the thing that's really interesting, and we talked about it on draft day, was the Lions went after, in the first and second round, they drafted undervalued positions, like the best players at the undervalued positions. They drafted the second running back drafted. They drafted the first inside linebacker drafted. They drafted the first safety and the second tight end. And all four of those guys were starters for their team all year. And that's a switch that I think Goody needs to do. Because usually what he does is he takes his athletic freak guy who doesn't play. He plays 30% of the snaps. And what we did see that was proven last year was that when you draft a guy and he's able to go out there and help you right away, it really can make a huge impact. Look at Reed, look at Musgrave, look at Tucker Kraft, look at Carl Brooks, look at Dontavion Wicks. I mean, all those guys were out there and doing awesome stuff because they had a chance to play. And Van Ness had a kind of a stink so-so season. Well, if he would have been able to play as much as those guys, his growth curve maybe would have happened sooner. Maybe he would have been having a good year like those guys had. but he was still playing second, third fiddle, sometimes fourth fiddle
Mm-hmm.
to Preston and Gary and Inigbare. So he didn't get the chance to develop the same as those guys, even though he's a first round pick. And then the Lions, though, every one of those 4 guys, their first 4 picks, all played. And the Packers have 5 picks in the top 100, and they need to get 5 starters. Period. At inside offensive line, take the best inside offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it. If he's a center, fine. Myers stinks.
Yep.
Take the best linebacker. I don't give a crap. Take the best safety. Too high. Take him 10 spots too high. I don't care.
Yes.
We have a huge hole. I mean, actually, we should do exactly what the Lions did, except for tight end. We don't need that. I mean, that's the thing. It's interesting, though. And I've heard some people say they need to get more defensive linemen because of the 4-3. I'm like, no, they don't. All the linebackers are just going to move the defensive end for the most part. They're not young, they're not quick enough to play linebacker in a 4-3.
No, absolutely.
Oh, they don't even need it. Like with the guys they have.
Van Ness, Gary, Preston, none of those guys can play outside linebacker.
And those guys, and then not only that, but I would want to see Devontae Wyatt at defensive end because he's so quick and aggressive. And then that'll leave Kenny Clark and TJ Slayton on the field. Plus, Carl Brooks can play defensive end.
Yep.
I mean, they have enough guys. They don't have to touch the whole defensive line.
No. I know JJ is talking about this big guy from Texas, Devondre Sweat, but they really don't need any big guys. I mean, because you're right. I mean, they're at least
receiver, and they don't need tight end, and they don't need quarterback.
Right.
What they need is probably a tackle, offensive tackle, possibly an interior offensive lineman, because they really have no depth if they let Runyon go. Like there's nothing there.
Yep.
So we need some sort of interior offensive lineman. That's 2 spots.
Linebackers
and probably a running back.
Yep. And then safety. And
and then on defense,
they got to fill in the center of the field, and then they got to
2 safeties, another linebacker or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to need some backup. You got 3 spots. You're going to need at least 2 backups. You're going to need at least 5 guys to play linebacker. And I think it's going to help their special teams too. Because that's one of their biggest weaknesses is they're playing tight ends and nickel backs at tackling on special teams. And they've only got like 2 linebackers out there. They got, you got Josiah DeGuara out there trying to tackle guys. Well, if we play a 4-3, that gives you, remember when the Packers had Lamont Hollenquest and Bernardo Harris and Keith McKenzie and all these guys that were 250 pounds, 240 pounds and fast and tough and big. We had the best special teams in the NFL. And because they could tackle and they could do stuff, they could block and they could do all the things you need to do. They were more athletic. And that's what we need. So don't get any defensive linemen. Don't get any receivers. Don't get any tight ends. Attack the safeties. Like I said, I would love to see Jeremy Chin signed in the free agency, got a 1-year prove-it deal because he's had a couple bad years, but we saw his rookie year. He was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy, Antoine Winfield Jr., is supposed to be a free agent. He's awesome. I don't think we can afford him. But let's face it, safeties don't actually get paid that much. If we saved $17 million from cutting Bakhtiari, we could give him $7 to $10 million. Or Patrick Queen, give him $10 to $12, $13 million a year. And we sure up the inside linebacker and safety spots. And then maybe draft a guy or 2 at the safety area inside linebacker. The other issue, like you said, is corner. Who's going to play corner? Jair is not a tackler. He's not aggressive.
No, he's not physical.
Valentine is hit or miss. He's like a head case.
He's too small too. I mean, none of those guys are physical enough to play that type of style Hafley's talking about. But here, JJ brought up a couple of things. I want to say this. Look, he said we need a run stopper though, and that's why he's talking about the big guy, Sweat or Sweet. But the deal is, JJ, the Packers, I mean, TJ Slayton was awesome. Okay. And they have enough interior guys to play those 2 tackle spots to rotate. Like they've got fresh rotation. They have plenty of guys to play that can do a lot of things. The area, again, the switch in defensive schemes is going to change the run defense and the way they play it. And it's going to put emphasis on finding speedier, tracking linebackers who can make tackles, who are physical, which means Devondre Campbell's definitely out. and you got to find guys who can
Right.
tackle and flow to the ball, like read, react, and go make plays. And so, like, you don't need more big guys to do that. The Packers are going to have to invest in physical and as fast as you can get at that size linebackers and guys who want to hit, guys who are defensive players, right? That are aggressive defensive players, not physical, great testers. I don't care about that. I care, what do they look like? What does their game film look like? Do they read what's happening on the field, and do they attack the play, and do they make tackles? That's what I want to see.
Well, I'm wondering if Hafley's going to take McDuffie and make him the centerpiece.
I like McDuffie. That's
Make
what he
him- make-
does.
I mean, that's what he was when he was in college and played for him. He was the
And-
leader and the center guy on the team, and he had like 100 million tackles, and had a great year and was drafted after his senior year. And that's, he knows what he's got there. He's a smart guy. He's a good tackler. He moves to the ball. I mean, his only issue is sometimes when he gets offensive lineman on him, he doesn't get off block. But with a 4-3, and instead of doing the wide 9, they may do the wide 9, I guess. I don't know. But I mean, there might be they're not going to play 4-3 that much anyways. It's going to be mostly 4-2-5 or whatever. Who knows? That's the other thing. Nickelback. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of issues. And
well,
need to really
a guy like
concentrate on defense.
Chin could fill that.
That's what he'd be great.
A bigger physical safety or smallish, fast linebacker could fill that role. Great. And so you have a situation where you could take a lot of these guys out of the mix. You could find Nixon is a good tackler. David, you're right. He's a little small, but he's a good tackler and he's aggressive. I would like to see Nixon back. I would like to see Rudy Ford back, but I don't think he's going to come back.
I would have.
But again, it's up to the coaches. It's up to, I mean, they had Rudy Ford and they played Savage instead. And that's why it's, partly on the coaches and partly on this, but you've got, if Jeff Hafley has said, I don't care where the guy was, I don't care what his background is, best player is going to play. If that's truly how they're going to operate, then maybe we'll see the right guys in the field, and maybe we'll see the good tacklers on the field and the guys who attack plays and see an aggressive style of defense. I hope that's the case. And if you bring in McDuffie, there is absolutely also no reason why Quay Walker can't be, the guy that you would want him to be in this defense. He's fast enough. He's got all the physical tools. They just need to unleash him. They need, I don't know what went down with him last year. He was a little less aggressive. He was a little more, I don't know if he had too much going on in his head, thinking about too much stuff. I don't know what the situation was, but he wasn't playing as instinctively last year as he did even as a rookie. And but he has everything you need to be an impactful inside linebacker. And if you paired him with somebody else that could make a difference and attack plays, whether that's McDuffie or whether you bring in another guy and McDuffie's your third piece, like, I'd be fine with that. Like, your front seven in the NFL really matters. If you have a strong front seven, you can cover up a weak-ish back end.
Well, that's what the 49ers and the Chiefs do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the two teams in the Super Bowl are built on: defensive line, a four-man defensive line with fast linebackers who, I mean, Gay and Bolton and Greenlaw and Leo Chanel, sure. And is he really a linebacker? Oh, yeah, he's a linebacker.
Former Badger.
I know. And Fred Warner and Owen Burks. Those are all fast guys.
Oren Burks could be a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, he could be.
We never thought that was possible.
But you tie that with then their defensive linemen, right? And their, and then their pass rush guys. Who's to say Gary can't be? He could be as good as Karlaftis, for God's sake. He's a couple years older. He should be playing as good as him. Problem is we don't have a Chris Jones in the middle.
Well, and I think Gary as a defensive end makes more sense than Gary as an outside linebacker. It's different. It's slightly different responsibility, and it matches his speed better. And if he can, it would also allow him to bulk up a little bit more, like put on maybe 10 pounds and then you could really dominate from that spot. Same thing with Van Ness. He's like a bigger guy. Well, playing a defensive end makes more sense for him. Maybe that's what Hafley said. He's like, look,
I'm
like you
sure
said,
that's what he said.
he's like, look, you got all these guys that are not the right size to play this 3-4 defense. What if we played a 4-3 and maximize them as
Yeah.
speedier defensive ends and then also rotated them in on pass rush downs into the middle? Like, we could really do some cool stuff. And maybe that's what got him the job.
I think so.
Also, it's interesting how college head coaches with the new rule changes are just fleeing college football because it's insane.
Well,
And they're like trying to get back into the NFL because it's way easier and less headache.
I listened to an interview he did right before he took the Packer job. It was like an hour long. And he talked about, he's like, I got guys who, I recruited them to come here. I worked with them. I helped them become a great player in a year or two, like become, a better player a year or two. And now I got to try to recruit them all again to stay where they're already at because all these big programs are flashing money at them and taking them away. And he hated it. He's like, and then he's talking about how he's always on the road, like, trying to recruit guys. He's like, I don't even spend time coaching football anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I spend all my time freaking trying to recruit guys. And he's like, most of the, 90% of the guys I don't even get. They go somewhere else. And then when I do get them, when I help them become something better, I have to try to recruit them to stay. And they end up leaving anyways because we can't pay them. He was ready to go, get out of college and go back to the NFL. I also heard an interview with him today from when he was, when he got hired at Ohio State to be defense coordinator. He talked about what brought him back to being in college. He's like, he really liked the college game, but he also said, my thought was I was going to try to be a defense coordinator in the NFL. I just spent 7 years in the NFL and then hopefully to be a head coach in the NFL. So this is something he wanted to do. He wanted to be in the NFL all those years ago. And the changing landscape of the college game and, paying players for playing in college, it just was probably the last straw for him. He was like, I'm out. I mean, like, when I want to be head coach of Boston College where people are stripping my players away from me and all this kind of stuff, and I don't know if they're going to can me and make me the scapegoat, or should I go be defense coordinator for a team that just made the playoffs and won a playoff game and has a young quarterback who looks pretty damn good and ready to be a quarterback for the next 15 years. The job security as a defense coordinator for the Packers is pretty dang good. Plus, if they succeed, his chances of becoming a head coach eventually, especially if the defense looks good, and if he believes in himself, it's pretty high. Especially when he's already got head coaching experience at Boston College. And then if he turns the Packers defense around, in 2 years, he'll be head coach somewhere.
Yeah. Especially if they play completely different.
Yeah.
And the results are different. It would be something.
So,
okay.
I mean, that's the reason why he left. So, I mean, it's exciting because I when we first heard his name, I was like, who the fart is this guy? I have no clue.
Right, exactly.
Like, I don't know who this guy is. But the more you read about him, the more interviews you see about him, the more interviews you see other people talk about him, and you see his background and you hear his philosophies. But the best part is this: he said, "I don't do a certain thing." He's like, "I do like there's things I want to do." He's like, he wants to play single high safety. He wants to play bump and run man coverage and cover the middle of the field more and have extra safety in the zone. And he'll trick it up here and there, but he that's what he wants to do most of the time. But he also understands if I don't have players who can play bump and run coverage or whatever, I have to change it up and do something different. Mm-hmm. And also, you can't run that whole freaking game or else everybody knows what you're doing and they take advantage of it. So this guy's not an idiot. This guy isn't a guy who's showing up and saying, this is my system and we're going to run it. The other thing, like we talked about, and Joe Barry, I feel sorry because one thing for poor Joe Barry is when he got hired, he was like, here, all these crappy guys that are you don't know if they're crappy, but all the coaches, the position coaches are the same, Joe. Sorry. So whatever your message is, it's going to have to match what the position coaches have been telling these guys for the last 2-3 years that they've been here. And at least now, Hafley can come in and, they're cutting house. He's allowed to bring in the guys he wants to bring in, for the most part, I would assume.
Yeah.
There's a couple guys staying, but some of the big names are gone. And some of the guys, to be quite honest, who, I didn't think they were all that great are gone. So
yeah,
we'll see. I just think it's exciting. I think it's something new. We have to see the proof in the pudding. And then we also have to see Goody go out and do the right moves. Get some guys in there in positions of weakness instead of always just taking guys and I don't know. We'll see what he does.
I agree with that. We'll see. We'll see if they draft to get players on the field or if they draft to get the next superstar 3 or 4 years down the road. Maybe. Okay, before we go, I got a couple things to say, but before we do that, we're going to do this. And this is actually not just of the week, this is of the year.
And now it's time for the Hafeman Bros silent but deadly player of the week.
All right, Ben, I challenge you to who is your silent but deadly player of the 2023 season for the Green Bay Packers.
My silent but deadly player is a player who didn't play for most of the year because he was hurt. And then in the last 5 games, he only ran for 100 yards every freaking game and freaking took over everybody. Silent but deadly is Aaron Jones. It sounds crazy because I don't think he could be MVP of the team this year because he didn't play most of it. And he was silent, but not with his teammates. There's that one game where Dontavian Wicks dropped the ball on 3rd down. He's coming off the field, and his head was down. And Aaron Jones picked his head up and said, "Dude, we need you to keep playing, man. I believe in you." Aaron Jones was the leader of this team. Even when he was hurt, he was silent on the field, but his leadership was deadly with the rest of the guys, making sure that they grew and became better players. And that's why Aaron Jones is my silent but deadly player of the year. Because we didn't see him on the field for most of it. And when he was on the field at the end of the year, he was freaking amazing. But his impact as a leader is something that cannot be understated. And proof in the pudding is why Goody knows we got to get Aaron Jones back. Aaron Jones, silent but deadly for Ben for the year. You're muted.
I like it. That's a good one. I don't know if I can come up with a better one. I'm going to have to come up with an alternative one because that is really good. It's probably the best one you could come up with. But maybe I'll take the easy way. Should I take the easy way or not the not easy way? I'm going to go against the grain. That's what we do as Hafeman Bros. We go against the grain a little bit. Normally, I would pick an offensive lineman. You could say Zach Tom could be your silent but deadly player of the year.
Zach Tom's always silent but deadly. So, yeah.
He was awesome. Zach Tom was like ridiculously good. He went from a 5th round pick who the Packers like stuck in spots and bailed him out time and time again in 2022 to their starting right tackle who, according to PFF, who I have issues with the way they grade offensive linemen, but they had him as the 4th highest graded offensive lineman, right tackle on the season. So you could easily pick Zach Tom, 100%. But I'm going to also pick an offensive player because the offense came on and was so good. And I'd love to pick my guy, Bo Melton, because he showed up late in the season and did his thing.
Yeah.
Became a guy that you had to reckon with, Bo Melton. And he became take the top off the defense guy when Christian Watson was hurt with his hammies and all that stuff. But I'm not going to pick Bo Melton. I'm going to go back to my days as tight end 1 and pick the best tight end on the Green Bay Packers after you let the legend Mercedes Lewis go. Bobby Tunyon, or Robert Tunyon as he preferred to be called, but Aaron Rodgers called him Bobby, so then everybody called him Bobby. Unfortunately for him, he never actually wanted to be called Bobby. He said that he liked Robert, but Aaron Rodgers did it, so then everybody called him Bobby. But my silent but deadly player 2023 is the guy who finally got a chance to play because of injury. And then the team finally said, "Oh, well, he's actually better than the guy we drafted ahead of you." It's the former Jackrabbit from a town of 531 people, Tucker Kraft. Silent but deadly player for 2023 of the Green Bay Packers. And a guy who could be a all-pro, Pro Bowl starting tight end for the Green Bay Packers for 10 plus years because he's that kind of guy and he's that good. And I like him, Tucker Kraft. Silent but deadly player of the year for me.
I'm going to say one honorable mention.
Okay, give it to him.
Dontavian Wicks.
Ooh,
I saw a stat this week. It said highest percentage of wide receivers in the NFL with at least 100 routes ran, and percentage that they got open against man coverage. Dontavian Wicks was number 1 in the NFL. Number 1. The 5th round pick of the Packers, rookie, was the best at getting open in the NFL this year.
Damn, I almost forgot the important part of the silent but deadly. Fart gun salute. Tucker Kraft. Aaron Jones. And Dontavian Wicks for not only getting open more than any other receiver consistently, including the great Devontae Adams, but for blocking your ass off, Dontavian Wicks.
And his run after the catch was pretty dang good, too. We had some good freaking dudes. We got to do awards, dude, because I got a glue guy that I don't think you're going to.
You want to do awards?
You got not today, but
I just don't have the time for it. But I'll try.
I know, but every year we do the award show, and you make a big graphics and all this stuff.
I know it's so much pressure, though. It's so much pressure. I'll try to get it together. All right. Let's see. A couple of comments here. Raider Rick's in the house. Let's see. Okay. JJ says Green Bay will draft mostly defensive. They'll also draft running backs and O-line. Well, it's okay. They got a few.
Like half the team right there. Okay.
He also says they might bring Savage back.
No.
He's done. He's proven what
Jim
he is.
and Campbell can go.
He tried hard, but he's not a very good player. So please make him go away. Rick says they probably need to clean out some dead wood in the coaching staff, get some new energy. They're doing that already, Rick. That's good.
They did.
Dobbs was really awesome in the playoffs.
That's true. But he also was, I'll say this, against the Cowboys, a lot of those routes were run, other guys were running routes to get him open.
Yeah, that's true.
So it wasn't like he was beating guys. The Cowboys were playing a stupid zone, and he was just the guy who was open all the time. So I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying, maybe it was a little bit of scheme that made him look so dang good there.
JJ's throwing everybody out. He likes Rasheed Walker, Zach Tom. He also says all of the wide receivers were impressive. So the Packers do not need to draft a wide receiver in this draft, right? They don't need to draft a defensive lineman in this draft.
Nope.
They don't. So that should help them, right? So if they draft a defensive lineman or a wide receiver in the first round, you should be pulling your hair out as a Packer fan.
Yeah.
Because you need guys who are going to help your team get better, like get on the field and help your team win. Not guys who are going to stack positions and maybe be a freak athlete and maybe turn into a superstar one day. I'm tired of
drafting in like the 6th round, but
don't
draft it in the 1st round.
Right. I'm tired of drafting that way. JJ also says, but love also. Actually, see, JJ's just like throwing everybody out there. Okay, that's good, JJ. We appreciate that. But anyway, those are our guys for Silent but Deadly this year. Congratulations to all the Silent but Deadlies throughout the season. And of course, you get a $50 gift card to your local Piggly Wiggly Silent but Deadly. Get a fart, get a ham, or some eggs.
I don't know where the budget is for that.
That was a false advertisement. Anyway,
you better hope that Aaron
you
Jones
could get a free pint.
Money.
Silent but Deadlies get a free Giant Jones pint on me.
You better watch it.
Congratulations, Silent but Deadly Players of the Year.
Hmm.
Reach out to Hafeman Bros, hafenbros@gmail.com to pick up your pint from Giant Jones Brewing in Madison. You can get American barley wine. You can get the Dwarven beer. You could get the double IPA, which has a Cyclops, which is confusing to everyone. You could get all kinds of beers from Giant Jones.
It is confusing. It's double, but it's a Cyclops.
I know. That's how they keep you off balance. Giant Jones, they're brilliant.
Doesn't make any sense.
Kraft doesn't fall down like Musgrave. Yes, David, you are correct. Tucker Kraft was so impressive. Like he's
was.
just, I mean, there's nothing flashy about him. God damn it, Mike McCarthy. He's just a football player. Son of a, isn't that the thing?
Yeah.
He's just a football player. Mike McCarthy's greatest line of all time. He can't do a lot else that makes sense, but he did say that, and I'll give him credit for it. All right, that's all I got for you tonight, other than the fact that I don't know what
When we're
I'm
gonna be
going
back.
to do. Look, everybody, look, we love you guys. We appreciate you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for everything you guys do. Yep, barley wine, says Rick. But there's a lot going on with family. There's a lot going on with, let me get the sound but deadly off here. That's detracting from my statement. There's a lot going on with family. There's a lot going on with our kids. There's a lot going on with all kinds of things. And football is dying down. And I know the draft is coming up in a couple months and all that, but I need a break. I got to take a dark retreat, be alone with my thoughts.
Why?
Oh wait, no, that's a bad idea. No, but I got to take, it's just, there's a lot going on. My daughter is going through some stuff. My son needs me. Got to take some breaks here from all this stuff and then maybe come back. I was actually coming on tonight to think we might be done after 5 years of trying to do this, where we've gone through everything, where we've been right, we've been wrong, but we've been honest.
We've been right. We've been right.
But we've been honest. No matter what, we've been telling everybody like we see it. We've been saying the truth, even when it was unpopular to say the truth. We've done it on the radio for a while. We came back to just YouTube. You guys, so many of you guys have stuck with us and been there and contributed to the shows. Have been awesome. We've had awesome guests. We're definitely more entertaining than the majority of programs on YouTube and on network television, and probably more insightful.
Yes.
And I don't know. At some point, you look at it, and you're like, why? Are we doing? Who are we doing this for? I don't know. Are we doing it for ourselves? Probably not. Are we doing it for dad and mom? Yeah, I'd say the last couple of years we really were doing it for dad and mom.
Yeah.
Because we knew every single week they tuned in. Every time we did a show, it was like a show for them, right? They got the popcorn out, they got it on their Roku, and they watched. And we lost mom this year, and that was hard for us. I kept thinking there was going to be some magic to the season as it went along, that it'd go along with the loss of mom and really dedicate with as hardcore of a fan as she was and stuff, that this would be a Packers season to remember with mom, and that they might end up winning it all. But that's when, a lot of times life and stuff doesn't always work out the way you think or the way you envision sometimes. And that's what happened this year too. And it wasn't just about the Packers, of course. But I just, I need to take a little step back. I'm not threatening retirement like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers for years and years and years.
Oh, don't do that.
Because I am excited about this young team, and I do like talking about Packers, and we love connecting with you guys, David and JJ and Lee and Wyatt and Brandy when she comes around, even though she gets mad at us for begging on Kenny Clark, and anybody else, Raider Rick, Dad, everybody that chimes in, Ekis, Bruce might even come back. Some other people, Viking Mo, we love our Viking Mo visits, all the sort of good stuff. Nico, the Bucks correspondent, all that stuff.
All what's going on with that.
All the other countless people that have contributed to the show over the 5 seasons that we've done this stuff. Balaz from overseas, Zero from the West Coast. Heck, we even had what was his name? Kid from he was like a 13-year-old kid from Philadelphia. Can't remember. He was like Big Play Slay. That was his handle. And others. You know, Bernard was with us for a long time, then he got mad. I get it. You know, we went through some hard times. We did. We went like the last 5 years. What we went through the 2019 season, which was after McCarthy got fired, all the nonsense came out. LaFleur comes in, Aaron Jones scores 20 some touchdowns. Everybody's excited for that exciting year where we signed 3 free agents who ended up to not really be very good in the end, but we spent
There's
a lot of
4.
money.
You forgot about Billy Turner.
Oh yeah, Billy. Well, okay. We signed 4 free agents, and none of them are really particularly good. But we spent a lot of money on them, and the Packers won a bunch of games. And then we had COVID, and we bonded. We upped our game. Like Hafeman Bros, we upped our game during COVID. We were like, hey, you guys are alone. You guys are at home. Lots of stuff is shut down. Let's bond over this show. Let's bond over Packers. We had a bunch of our friends have time for us then to be on the show. We know they got kids. We know they got other stuff going on now. We get it. They're not available now. Cool. No problem. But it was nice to catch up with those guys, get their takes on the show. Then we kept powering through. And Ben was like, every week, I don't want to do this crap. I don't want to do this crap. I don't want to do this crap anymore.
What happened was this. It was the Rodgers stuff. And then this
I know.
year.
And that's the other part. We went through that. We went through Aaron Rodgers totally losing his mind, becoming the worst diva douchebag, exposing himself in front of all of us. And we still kept going on as Packer fans. It was crazy.
See, but at that point, it was the crusade to speak the truth is why I wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
And now it's the hardest part about this is there's so many other shows out there who can get the information out fast. Like if you want just information, there's better shows. We don't always know everything. Like as far as like stats and who got hired and who got fired and who got this and who got whatever happened. What we do is we look at things analytically. We tell you why this happened, why this didn't happen. We tell you this guy stinks, this guy doesn't stink. We tell them this should be doing this, they should be doing that. And the bottom line is when we lost Mom, then it's like you start realizing like, I don't care. The Packers win or lose, it doesn't affect me. Who gives a crap? Like I didn't have the investment as much after that. So even though they came back and fought through it, it was one of those things where, he kind of got fired up. It took the Aaron Jones coming back and having those big games at the end of the year that really got me back into it again. But it was tough because it's like, okay, well, we can go on and talk about the stuff, but there's so many other shows talking about it. It's like, what can we say? Can we bring something new and interesting that hasn't been heard? And I don't know if that's the case. Plus, as I told you many times, after a couple days or even like a one day, whatever we talk about is old news. So it's hard to stay on top of things and give stuff. Mm-hmm. And to be quite honest, we've been saying a lot of the same crap over and over and over. We tell you Devondre Campbell stinks. We've been telling you that.
True. And people
we tell you this guy was good. We tell you this guy was bad. We told you all this crap. And then this year, finally people realize like, oh, yeah. All offseason, everybody's saying that we need to sign a veteran wide receiver and get what's his face, Mercedes Lewis back. And we were like, no, we don't want that. Play the young guys. They're going to be good. And they were good. We were right about that. We were right about everything. So that's why you should watch us, because we're right about everything. But after a while, you need to just take a break for a little bit. We'll be back. We'll talk about draft. I love the combine. I love watching guys. That's how I saw Justin Herbert, and I said he's going to be the best quarterback. And everybody else thought he's going to suck. And I was like, no, this guy's freaking awesome.
Let's be real. You like guys in shorts and tight shirts.
Not really, but I do like when a quarterback...
Can we talk about your son's Instagram pictures?
No, I don't want to. I texted him as soon as I saw it on Facebook. I was like, dude.
All I can say is his political career is likely over if he ever had aspiration.
I was like, dude.
Did you talk to Dad about that? I asked him about it last night.
No.
He just laughed about it. I thought he's like, yeah, you didn't know he had a hairy ass, did you? And I was like, well, now I do.
All right, time to go. Yeah, I told him, I was like, dude.
He was
I
expressing
understand you're
himself.
having fun, but you gotta not put some of that stuff out there. And he's like, "Well, I'll take it off Facebook, but I'm leaving it on Instagram." And I was like, "Okay, well, all your aunts and uncles are on Instagram." And I was like, "Dude, your grandpa Hafeman liked your stuff."
It was great.
When we left, we were there with him all day, and when we left him, he was not dressed like that. That's all I'm gonna say. He got a little drunk and crazy there at the end of the night, but that's over now. All right, I gotta go.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess we'll come back once things pick up a little bit, but we are going to take
A couple weeks at least,
yeah, maybe like a month plus
maybe a
off.
month. I don't know. Yeah.
Get some things straightened out. We'll give you guys a heads up when we're coming back. But thanks to everybody who's contributed, been involved. And Rick points out Bruising Bros was a hit for a while. And then we had to shift. And like JJ wants to contribute some things like a 6-pack of Jacob Lannickel's beer. You can donate. Appreciate that. Todd says we should get Charmin as our sponsor. Also Giant Jones and Delta Beer Lab. I should get all those anyway. That's the part that we don't have time for, and I apologize for that. Is like really up in our game to contribute and do those business ventures so we can support the show more. And then I also feel bad, like personally, that I don't have the time to spend to put into the show like I'd want to. But we're doing our best. We're still Packer fans. You guys are Packer fans. Hopefully you enjoy what we talk about and we enjoy what you guys bring to the show. So we'll be back. I was unsure. I was 90% retired when I came into tonight.
Oh,
And now I'm where was I coming out? I can't remember. Anyway, now I'm like 50-50, just like Aaron Rodgers was. We wish he was 100% retired last year. It would have been way better. Anyway.
no.
Oh, that's true. We wouldn't
What
have
happened
got a
was
second
even
round
better.
pick then. We wouldn't got a second round pick then.
Well, not that shit. It's just he got hurt, and then his true nature came out, and everybody hates him. Jets hate him. The Jets fans hate him. The media hates him. Everybody hates him. It's great.
And he's still
Yet they still tune in to watch his dumb crap on Pat McAfee. It's like, I don't know.
but he's still controlling their team
Yeah.
as their pseudo GM. All right. Let's hope that the oldest team in the NBA can somehow pull their crap together and figure out a way to win a championship again. That'd be awesome, but we'll see. Hey, Jay Crowder is playing now.
Yeah, well, they're not winning. They're 1-4.
But he doesn't look very good. He's playing, but he doesn't look very good. We'll see. The Bucks got to figure some stuff out. Well, hopefully they can pull it off. But they are old. Damian Lillard, 32, man. He's old. Damn. I mean, he's not old compared to us, but he's old in comparison to players in the NBA. That's what I'll say. And did you catch the wild Doc Rivers crazy approach, which was put Chris Middleton on the best offensive player, Chris Middleton's defense on the best offensive player they faced the other night? Yeah, that was his strategy.
That's dumb.
And then Chris Middleton had a bad offensive game, and he's like, that'll happen when you expend so much energy on the defensive end and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, was he effective on the defensive end? I don't know. JJ says, what do you guys think about Doc Rivers? I don't know. I mean, there's no magic coach. What a terrible hire. I don't know. He's terrible. I think he's a fine coach. I think the Bucks have a team that is aging, and they need to figure out how to maximize what they got. And they got to figure out how to play Bobby Portis in the right role. They should actually, like we've said before, should switch Middleton not as a starter, have him come off the bench as a scorer. That makes sense, right? When you take Lillard or Giannis out, bring Middleton in as a scorer, not a ball handler, not a passer, a shooter, a scorer off the bench. That should be his role.
Ricky Pierce.
You have other guys to fill in. I don't like that they put Beauchamp down to the herd, for crying out loud. Like, let him play. They need okay. You want to know what should happen with the Bucks? Okay. They don't need another scorer in Middleton's spot. They need a high energy defensive guy and rebounder, dirty work guy in that spot on the starting lineup to go along with Giannis and Lillard and Brook, or I know Brook's hurt right now, so Robin Lopez is starting. But the other guys, and then you bring like Portis and Middleton off the bench, so you still have scoring in your second unit when you bring the other guys out. Again, there's only one ball to go around. That would give you more balanced scoring throughout the game. You probably wouldn't have the lulls. But when you start Middleton, it screws everything up. So if Doc Rivers is smart enough to figure out how to bring Middleton off the bench, then it's a great hire. If he's too dumb to figure that out, then it's not a great hire. That's it.
I don't know.
But either way, Giannis is a monster. He'll keep playing hard. The Bucks got to play better defense, which apparently they have been, but they also got to make shots. Your guy Bobby Portis is kind of hit or miss, but that's what he does. So
He's a hustle guy, dude.
And Super Pat has been shooting like piss since he's been back, so he's not good either. So they got to get the groove back. It's like what's that movie was made?
Stella.
They got to be like Stella. They got to get the groove back, and then they can win a championship. So there.
I've never seen that movie, but I heard about it.
I never saw it
I think
either.
Angela Bassett was in that, I think, but I could be wrong.
Angela Bassett, you got it. All right. Before we go, favorite movie of all time?
Immortal Beloved, starring Gary Oldman.
Holy
He plays.
Vampire movie is your favorite movie of all time?
No, Immortal Beloved. Gary Oldman plays Beethoven.
Oh shit! Okay, it's not a.
It's awesome. It's a great movie.
I thought that was a vampire movie. Okay.
No, that's Dracula. Where Gary Oldman plays Dracula.
Oh, Reinfeld. I was thinking of Reinfeld with Nick Cage. That's what I was thinking.
That's new. That's only been like a year
I
old.
thought you were going to say Princess Bride. 100%. No?
It's kind of aged. It's still good. Don't get me wrong, but
okay. Favorite movie of all time? Oof, that's a tough one for me. I'm still going to go with, because of what it did to me the first time I watched it, I'm going to say Shawshank Redemption.
That's a good one.
Classic.
Jesse's dad hates that movie though because he's a former prison guy.
Don't hate it, Jesse's
dad.
Prison
security. He's a prison security guy.
Took him 16 years to carve out that hole with the spoon.
More than 16.
Whatever it was.
It was like 20.
Whatever. The only thing that was disappointing is they should have ended it right when they shouldn't have had like the whole extra ending. They should have ended it when like 15 minutes earlier. No, you didn't think so? Okay.
I like that ending. It's good. Two guys living in they're all like, we're buds. We're free.
Second runner up for me is Click though. Click is second runner up.
That's not even a good movie.
It's a great movie. It made me cry twice. Guaranteed. If you have a heart and you're an
it's
actual
not even a top
being,
5 Adam Sandler
makes
movie.
you cry twice. Because
that's not even a top
family.
5 Adam Sandler movie.
What do you mean? It's all about family, dude.
All right, we got to go.
Hit you right here. Click. Watch it if you haven't. It's not just a goofball movie. It's a movie with heart. All right. All right. Be good, everybody. Stay good. Enjoy your off season. We'll catch you when we get back closer to the draft. And Ben, who knows? Ben might do some movie reviews. I don't know what he's doing.
Thinking about it, doing some Ben's top 10s again, but I'm too lazy.
I'll turn over the channel to you. Hafeman Bros.
I'm too lazy.
Pooh show's out for a couple months. We'll catch you guys soon.
Tell me why, like a unicorn, you're still high.